The great hall of the Xerex Empire was filled with laughter. Hundreds of powerful aliens sat in tall silver chairs. Bright blue lights covered the ceiling, and huge flags of the Empire hung from the walls. In the center of the room stood a single human. His hands were locked with energy cuffs. His clothes were old. His face looked tired, but his eyes were calm. The human did not look at the crowd. He simply stood there as if none of the loud voices around him mattered. On the highest throne sat Emperor Varen. He watched the human with cold eyes. Beside him stood Princess Lyra. She was young, kind and respected across the Empire. Unlike the others, she did not laugh. She looked at the human with quiet curiosity. One of the generals stepped forward. "Your Majesty," he said with a smile. The human refuses to beg. The room exploded with laughter again. Another noble stood up. Of course he refuses. Humans are too foolish to know when they have already lost. More laughter filled the hall. The human remained silent. The emperor slowly raised one hand. The room became quiet. "I have decided his punishment," the emperor said. Everyone leaned forward. The emperor looked at Princess Lyra. "My daughter." She bowed her head. "Yes, father." "You wish to avoid the marriage offers from the noble families." She nodded. "I did." The emperor smiled. "Then I have found the perfect husband for you." The room became completely silent. The emperor pointed directly at the human, him. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then the entire hall burst into even louder laughter than before. Some nobles almost fell from their chairs. Several soldiers covered their mouths to hide their smiles. One minister laughed so hard that tears rolled down his face. A princess marrying a human? This is the greatest joke in imperial history. What an insult! Princess Lyra's face turned pale. She looked from her father to the human. Surely this had to be another cruel joke. But the emperor was not smiling anymore. "I have made my decision." His voice echoed across the hall. "The ceremony will take place tomorrow." Princess Lyra opened her mouth. "Father, please," he interrupted her. "The matter is closed." She lowered her head. There was nothing more she could say. The guards pushed the human forward. For the first time, he looked directly at Princess Lyra. His face showed no fear, no anger, no shame, only calm that surprised. Heard every prisoner brought before the emperor begged for mercy. Every prisoner looked terrified. But this man looked peaceful, as if he had expected this day. She could not understand it. The captain of the guards grabbed the human's shoulder. "Bow before the princess." The human slowly looked at him. Then he calmly shook his head. "No." The hall became silent again. The captain's face turned red. "You dare refuse?" The human answered in the same quiet voice. "Respect cannot be forced." Several guards raised their weapons. Princess Lyra quickly lifted one hand. "Stop!" Everyone looked at her. She stepped closer to the human. She expected him to look away. Instead, he met her eyes without fear. His eyes were clear. There was no hate inside them, only honesty. The first time in years, Princess Lyra felt uncomfortable. Looking into someone's eyes, she stepped back. The emperor laughed softly. "So the human still has some pride." One general spoke loudly. "It will disappear soon." "Enough," another added. "Humans always break." The human remained silent. The emperor stood from his throne. "Take them away." The guards began leading both of them through the long halls of the palace. No one spoke. After several minutes, Princess Lyra finally looked toward him. "You should have bowed." The human looked ahead. "I only bow to people who earn it." She frowned. "You are a prisoner." "I know." "You could die." "I know." His calm answers only confused her more. She expected fear. She expected panic. Instead, sounded like someone taking a peaceful walk. After another minute, she asked, "What is your name?" The human looked at her. "Ethan." She repeated it quietly. "Ethan." It sounded strange in her language. "I am Lyra." "I know." "You already knew?" "The entire galaxy knows the Emperor's daughter." She looked away. There was sadness in her eyes. "Sometimes I wish they didn't." They continued walking. Neither of them noticed the old servant cleaning the hallway. The servant kept his head low, but hidden beneath. His sleeve was a tiny communication device. As soon as Ethan passed, the servant pressed one small button, far below the palace. Inside, a dark control room. A red light suddenly turned on. Several officers looked at the screen. One of them froze. It can't. Another officer quickly checked the signal. It matches. A third officer whispered, "The human has been found." The room became completely silent. The oldest officer slowly stood. His face lost all color. "Send the message." "To whom?" He answered without hesitation. "To every hidden station." The young officer swallowed. "Even to Earth?" The old man nodded. "Especially to Earth." The message was transmitted across deep space. Only 7 words appeared on every secure screen. "The last human has been located." Back inside the palace, Ethan knew nothing about the message. He simply walked beside Princess Lyra. She secretly watched him. She still could not understand him. He had lost everything. He stood alone inside the strongest empire in the galaxy. He had just been forced into a marriage meant to humiliate them both, yet his breathing stayed steady. His steps never slowed, his eyes never showed fear. It was almost as if he was waiting. As they reached the door to the royal guest quarters, an elderly palace advisor quietly passed by them. His eyes landed on Ethan for only a single second. Then they widened, almost too quickly to notice. The old advisor lowered his head. Not in pity, not in respect for a prisoner. It looked almost like recognition. Ethan noticed it for the first time since entering the palace, and a small smile appeared on his face. Princess Lyra saw it. "Why are you smiling?" she asked. Ethan looked toward the stars shining through the palace window. Then he spoke only one sentence. "So, they still remember my family." Instead of showing Ethan settling into the palace, the story cuts to a hidden location far from the Empire. A secret underground station receives the emergency message. The last human has been located. Old machines that have been silent for over 100 years suddenly power on. Several elderly officers, who have spent their lives hiding, realize the impossible has happened. One of them whispers, "He is alive." Back in the palace, Princess Lyra cannot stop thinking about Ethan's final words. "They still remember my family." She secretly searches the Imperial History database for the name Ethan. Nothing. She searches for Earth access. Denied. She searches for human war classified. Every record about humans has been erased. Meanwhile, Ethan is locked inside luxurious royal quarters instead of a prison cell. He quietly studies the room. Without anyone noticing, he finds a tiny hidden camera inside a wall decoration. Instead of destroying it, he smiles. He wants them to watch him. Elsewhere in the palace, Emperor Varen receives shocking news. The old human defense network has become active. The Emperor's face immediately changes. His smile disappears. He quietly says, "After all these years, so they have finally found him." No one in the room understands why the most powerful ruler in the galaxy suddenly looks worried. The chapter ends with a forgotten military bunker on Earth, opening for the first time in almost 200 years. A massive steel door slowly unlocks. Inside the darkness, thousands of advanced soldiers remain frozen in cryogenic. Pod's computer announces. The story opens in complete darkness. An ancient alarm echoes through a forgotten station floating between dead stars. The station has been abandoned for nearly 500 years. No ships ever visit, no maps show its location. Yet on this day, every machine suddenly wakes up, one by one. Red lights turn blue. Ancient screens begin displaying the same message. Human royal blood detected. Deep inside the station, a giant metal door slowly opens behind. It stands a single machine unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. It's not a robot, it is not a weapon, it is an ancient guardian AI. The AI has waited for centuries without a single command. Now, for the first time in hundreds of years, it speaks. He has returned, far away. Inside the Imperial Palace, Princess Lyra cannot sleep. Ethan's Words keep repeating in her mind. They still remember my family. She decides to break one of the Empire's oldest laws. She secretly enters the Emperor's Forbidden Archive. The room is hidden beneath the palace. Only members of the royal family are allowed inside. Thousands of crystal records float in the air. Each contains forgotten history. Searches one word. Human. The screen flashes red. Access. Forbidden. She tries another word. Earth. Again. Access. Denied. Then she types something she has never heard. Before royal human bloodline. For several seconds, nothing happens. Then every light inside the archive suddenly goes dark. The entire room begins shaking. An old hologram appears in front of her. It shows a galaxy from long ago, but it is completely different from the one she knows. Human ships are everywhere. Alien worlds trade peacefully with Earth. Humans are not weak. They are respected. Some even wear royal crowns. Princess Lyra cannot believe what she is seeing. The recording suddenly ends. A warning appears. Unauthorized viewing detected. At that exact moment, Emperor Varen receives the alert. His face loses all color. He whispers, "She found the archive." Without another word, he rushes toward the underground vault. Meanwhile, Ethan stands alone on a palace balcony. He looks quietly at the stars, as if he already knows what is happening. A young palace guard walks past him for a second. The guard secretly places a tiny metal coin beside Ethan. No one notices. The guard keeps walking. Ethan picks up the coin. On one side is the symbol of Earth, and the other side are only 3 words: "We never surrendered." For the first time, the calm expression disappears from Ethan's face. He closes his hand around the coin. Someone is still out there. Someone has been waiting. The chapter ends on a distant planet hidden inside a black nebula. A fleet of enormous warships slowly rises from beneath the clouds. Each ship carries the same forgotten emblem, a blue Earth, surrounded by golden stars. The fleet commander looks toward the galaxy and quietly says, "Air located. Bring the fleet home." As thousands of engines ignite together, the darkness of space lights up once again. The imperial palace celebrated. Music filled the golden halls. The nobles laughed, drank, and mocked the human they believed had been broken. They thought tomorrow's wedding would be the greatest joke in the Empire's history, no? One noticed that Ethan had not spoken a single unnecessary word since entering the palace. Far below the celebration, hidden beneath 7 levels of steel and energy shield, small blue light suddenly appeared on a forgotten control panel. No guard saw it, no alarm sounded. One tiny signal had reached its destination. The palace itself had accepted Ethan's hidden transmission. Inside his room, Ethan stood quietly beside the window. He looked like a prisoner, but his eyes moved carefully across the city. Every tower, every shield generator, every patrol route, every security drone. He had been watching. Since the moment he arrived, he whispered only 4 words. "Exactly where I needed." At the same time, deep beneath the palace, an ancient machine woke for the first time in centuries. Dust fell from its metal frame. Its eye systems slowly came online. A cold mechanical voice echoed through the empty chamber. "Royal. Human command signal verified. Primary. Owner detected. No one in the Empire knew the machine even existed. Long before the Empire was built, humans had hidden it there." Back upstairs, Princess Lyra entered Ethan's room without warning. She closed the door behind her. "You lied to me," she said. Ethan looked at her calmly. "What did I lie about?" "You said nothing." She placed an old crystal record on the table. "I saw the archive." For the first time, Ethan's expression changed, only slightly. "You weren't supposed to find that." She stepped closer. "Tell me the truth. Were humans really rulers of the galaxy?" Ethan remained silent. She asked another question. "Why did my father erase your history?" Ethan looked toward the window. "The truth is dangerous. I still want to hear it." He slowly turned back to her. "Not yet." Before Lyra could speak again, every light inside the palace suddenly flickered once, twice. Then darkness covered the entire building. The music stopped. The Celebration ended in confusion. Emergency. Alarms exploded across the capital. Outside, thousands of defense drones suddenly shut down. Orbital. Cannons stopped moving. Shield towers lost. Power generals shouted orders. Engineers rushed to their control rooms. Nothing responded. The palace security network had gone completely silent. Deep underground. The forgotten machine finished waking up. Its final message echoed through the darkness. Imperial control system overridden. Human authority restored. Across the galaxy, hidden, listening stations received the same signal, one after another. Old agents smiled. One elderly woman removed a faded necklace carrying Earth symbol. After 50 years of hiding, she whispered, "He finally did it." On the bridge of the hidden human fleet, every officer stood as alarms echoed through the ship. The fleet commander looked at the glowing screen. "The palace has fallen," an officer asked. "Do we attack?" The commander slowly shook his head. "No. We wait for Ethan." Back inside the palace, soldiers ran through the halls in panic. No doors worked. No weapons connected to the network. Even the Emperor's private command room was locked. Emperor Varen slammed his fist against the sealed door. "Who is doing this?" No one answered. Then, every screen in the palace turned blue. A single symbol appeared, a blue earth surrounded by golden stars, the same symbol erased from history. Centuries ago, silence filled every room. The nobles stopped laughing. The generals stared in disbelief. Fenusar. The Emperor's face turned pale. Only Ethan remained calm. "Princess." Lyra slowly looked at him. "You knew this would happen." Ethan gave a small smile. Then he spoke the words that changed everything. "I was never their prisoner. They were simply holding the door open for me." At that exact moment, far beneath the palace, the final security lock opened with a deep metallic sound. Something enormous began to rise from the darkness. The ground shook. The palace trembled. Across the capital, people looked toward the center of the city as a massive ancient structure slowly emerged from beneath the imperial palace, a structure older than the empire itself. No one knew what it was, but Ethan did. He looked at it without surprise. Then he quietly said. The entire imperial capital fell silent. The massive structure continued rising from beneath the palace. Stone, silver metal, and glowing blue crystals broke through the ground. People ran into the streets. Some pointed at the sky. Others dropped to their knees. No one had ever seen anything like it. The Emperor stood frozen. His hands slowly tightened. He whispered only one word. "No." Princess Lyra looked at him. "You know what this is." The Emperor did not answer. For the first time in her life, she saw fear in her father's eyes. Not anger. Not pride. Fear. Far below the palace, Ethan walked toward the ancient structure. No guard stopped him. Most of them were too shocked to move. The few who tried found that their weapons no longer worked. Every security system ignored Ethan. It was almost as if the palace itself was protecting him. Princess Lyra hurried after him. "Wait." Ethan stopped. She caught her breath. "What is happening?" He looked at the giant doorway. "It has been waiting." "For who?" "For the last person with my family's blood." The huge door slowly opened. Cold air rushed out. The room inside was untouched by time. Everything looked new. Blue lights covered the walls. Ancient symbols glowed across the floor. In the center stood a tall crystal pillar as Ethan stepped closer. The pillar suddenly came to life. A soft voice filled the room. Identity confirmed. "Welcome home, Commander Ethan Aris." Princess Lyra stared at him. "Commander? You were a commander?" Ethan quietly shook his head. "My father was." Before he could say more, a bright beam of light filled the room. A woman appeared inside the light. She was only a hologram, but she looked completely human. She smiled warmly at Ethan. "If you are seeing this, then our family has survived." Ethan's eyes became still. He had not heard his mother's voice in many years. Princess Lyra remained silent. The hologram continued. "My son, if you are here, then the galaxy has forgotten the truth." Images appeared all around the room. Great human cities, peaceful alien worlds, families living together, trade ships crossing the stars. There was a time when humans did not rule by fear. We protected every world that asked for help. The images suddenly changed. Explosions, burning planets, broken fleets, the beginning of a terrible war. The great betrayal started when powerful rulers wanted control instead of peace. They erased our history. They destroyed our worlds. They hunted every member of our family. Princess Lyra looked at Ethan. So, everything we learned was a lie. Ethan slowly nodded. Yes. The hologram looked directly at Ethan again. If you survived, never seek revenge, build a better future. Then the hologram smiled one last time. I know you will make us proud. The light disappeared. Silence filled the room. Princess Lyra wiped a tear from her face. Outside, the Emperor finally entered the chamber with hundreds of royal guards. He looked at Ethan. You should have stayed hidden. Ethan calmly faced him. You erased billions of lives. The Emperor answered quietly. I prevented another galaxy-wide war. You started it. The room became silent. The Emperor looked tired, older than before. You think I wanted this? My grandfather began the war. My father continued it. I inherited the lies. Princess Lyra looked at her father in disbelief. You knew? He slowly closed his eyes. Yes. You knew humans were innocent? Yes. Then why? The Emperor lowered his head. Because the truth would destroy the Empire. Before anyone could speak again, an officer rushed into the chamber. Your Majesty. The officer could barely breathe. The Outer Defense Fleet has reported unknown ships entering Imperial space. Thousands of them. Another officer arrived only seconds later. Our scanners cannot identify them. They are using human technology. The Emperor looked toward Ethan. So, they finally came. At that exact moment, a deep voice echoed throughout the chamber. It did not come from the palace. It came from the sky itself. Every screen in the capital suddenly turned on. A single human officer appeared. His hair was gray. His uniform carried the ancient symbol of Earth. He looked directly into the camera. This is Admiral Nathan Cross of the United Human Fleet. We are not here to conquer. We are not here for revenge. We have come for one reason. He paused. Every person across the Empire held their breath. The Admiral continued. Return Commander Ethan Eris peacefully, or prepare to witness the return of humanity. Outside the palace windows, the clouds slowly opened. Thousands of enormous human warships filled the sky. Their engines glowed like blue stars. The Imperial fleet looked tiny beside them. No shots were fired. No threats were made. The silent arrival alone was enough. For the first time in hundreds of years, the galaxy realized one terrifying truth. Humanity had never disappeared. It had only been waiting. No one fired a single shot. The sky above the Imperial capital remained silent. Thousands of human warships floated in perfect formation. Their weapons stayed lowered. Their shields stayed inactive. It was not an invasion. It was a message. Inside the palace, every officer waited for Emperor Varen to give the order to attack. He never did. His eyes remained fixed on Ethan. After a long silence, he spoke. If this battle begins, millions will die, Ethan answered calmly. That is why I came alone. The room fell silent again. Princess Lyra looked from her father to Ethan. For the first time, she understood something. Ethan had never wanted revenge. He had wanted the truth. Suddenly, the ancient crystal pillar lit up again. The soft blue light became brighter than before. A new voice echoed through the chamber. Final protocol activated. Everyone looked toward the pillar. Ancient symbols moved across its surface. One by one, hidden star maps appeared in the air. Hundreds of forgotten worlds began glowing. Then thousands. The entire galaxy was covered in blue lights. An old AI spoke with perfect calm. For 600 years, the Human Guardian Network has protected these worlds from the shadows. Every person in the room stared in disbelief. The AI continued. Whenever a colony faced extinction, help was sent. Whenever children needed food, supplies arrived. Whenever pirates attacked, unknown defenders appeared. Princess Lyra whispered, "It was humans." Ethan slowly nodded. "We never stopped protecting innocent people." The room became completely silent. Even Emperor Varen lowered his eyes. Everything he had believed for decades suddenly felt empty. Before anyone could speak again, a palace doctor rushed into the chamber. She looked frightened. "Your Highness!" She bowed quickly before Princess Lyra. "I am sorry for interrupting, but the medical scan is complete." Lyra looked confused. "What scan?" "The one performed after today's security emergency." The doctor hesitated. Then she smiled. "There is something you should know." Everyone waited. The doctor took a deep breath. "Princess, you are expecting a child." Silence. No one moved. Princess Lyra's eyes became wide. "My child?" The doctor nodded. "Yes." She slowly turned toward Ethan. Neither of them spoke. Neither of them expected this. The ancient AI suddenly became active again. Its lights changed from blue to brilliant gold. A new message appeared across every screen. Future royal heir detected. Every machine inside the ancient chamber stopped. Then, one by one, they bowed. Mechanical arms lowered. Ancient guardian drones knelt. Even the crystal pillar dimmed its light. The AI announced, "The peace heir has entered the timeline." Princess Lyra looked completely confused. "What does that mean?" Before Ethan could answer, the AI projected another ancient recording. A woman wearing white armor appeared. She spoke gently. "If you are seeing this, then the promise has finally been fulfilled." She pointed toward the stars. "The day a child is born from both human and imperial blood, the Guardian Treaty becomes active once again." Images appeared around the chamber. Humans, aliens, children playing together, worlds living without war. The woman smiled. "This child was never meant to rule through fear. This child will unite worlds that have forgotten how to trust." The recording faded. No one spoke. Even Emperor Varen looked at his daughter with tears in his eyes. Outside. News spread across the galaxy within minutes. The human commander, the imperial princess, a child carrying both bloodlines. Some celebrated, some panicked. Some called it impossible. Others called it a miracle. Far away, in the darkest part of the galaxy, a forgotten fortress slowly came to life. Its walls were covered with battle scars older than the Empire itself. Inside, dozens of figures wearing black armor watched the news in silence. Their leader slowly stood. His face remained hidden behind a dark helmet. He looked at the glowing image of Ethan and Lyra. Then he quietly laughed. "So, the child really exists." One soldier stepped forward. "My lord, should we prepare our fleet?" The masked leader nodded slowly. "Yes. The galaxy has remembered its hope. It is time they remember their nightmare." Behind him, thousands of black warships powered on. Unlike the human fleet, these ships carried no symbols, no flags, no names, only darkness. Back inside the palace, the lights suddenly flickered. The ancient AI froze. For the first time, its calm voice sounded afraid. Unknown threat detected. Identity confirmed. There was a long pause. Then the AI spoke words that made Ethan's face lose all color. "The first commander has returned." Ethan whispered. "That isn't possible. My grandfather died 600 years ago." The AI answered with one final sentence. "According to all records, he never died." The chamber became completely silent. No one could believe what they had just heard. "The first commander has returned." Even the ancient AI stopped speaking. Ethan stood motionless. His grandfather had died 600 years ago. Every history record said the same thing. Every human believed the same story, so How could he still be alive? Princess Lyra looked at Ethan. What is happening? Ethan slowly answered. I don't know anymore. Before anyone could speak again, every screen inside the palace suddenly changed. A dark face appeared. The man looked old. His hair was white. A long scar crossed one side of his face. His sharp blue eyes looked directly at Ethan. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then the old man smiled. So, you survived, Ethan. Stared at him. His hand slowly tightened. Grandfather? The old man nodded. Yes. Princess Lyra looked from one to the other. She could hardly breathe. The man continued. I have waited a very long time for this day. Ethan's voice remained calm. Where have you been? In the place where this war truly began. The old man slowly stood from his command chair. Behind him stretched an endless fleet of black warships. Unlike the human fleet, these ships looked damaged and ancient. Some still carried marks from battles fought hundreds of years ago. The old man spoke again. When the great betrayal happened, I chased the leaders who started it. I followed them beyond the edge of known space. The journey took generations. I could never return, Princess Lyra quietly asked. Then why are you here now? He looked toward her. Because the enemy has finally disappeared. The room fell silent. He looked back at Ethan. I ended the last battle 3 days ago. No enemy survived. The war is finally over. Ethan closed his eyes. For years, he had believed revenge was waiting somewhere in the stars, but the war had already ended. His grandfather had finished it alone. The old commander smiled proudly. You don't have to become a soldier. You can become something better. At that moment, the ancient AI became active once more. Its blue light filled the chamber. Final. Guardian protocol unlocked. A golden map of the galaxy appeared above. Everyone, one by one. Every world changed color. Red. Systems turned blue. Old borders disappeared. Trade routes appeared. Peace. Agreements filled the screen. The AI spoke. For the first time in 600 years, the galaxy is free from war. Everyone watched in silence. Then the AI turned toward Ethan and Princess Lyra. The Guardian Network now requests its final command. Ethan looked at the glowing map. He remembered his mother's last message. Never seek revenge. Build a better future. He slowly stepped forward. I have one command. The AI waited. Ethan took Princess Lyra's hand. We end every secret. We tell every world the truth. We rebuild. Together. No empire. No human kingdom. No rulers above everyone else. Only partners. The AI processed the command. After a few seconds, it answered, Command accepted. Across the entire galaxy, hidden archives suddenly opened. Every deleted history file returned. Every lie disappeared. People finally learned the truth. They learned that humans had protected worlds instead of conquering them. They learned that the great betrayal had been caused by a small group hungry for power. They learned that innocent people from every species had suffered together. Some cried, some apologized, some simply stood in silence. Inside the palace, Emperor Varen slowly walked toward Ethan. He removed the imperial crown from his own head. Then, to everyone's surprise, he placed it on the floor. Not before Ethan, not before himself, but before the people. He lowered his head. I ruled with lies. I will not rule the future. Princess Lyra smiled gently. You finally chose the truth. Outside, the citizens gathered in the streets. Humans, aliens, soldiers, workers, children. For the first time, they stood together without fear. Days later, the human fleet and the imperial fleet flew side by side through the stars. Their weapons remained silent. Their ships carried food, medicine, and engineers instead of armies. World after world began rebuilding. Months passed. Princess Lyra gave birth to a healthy baby boy. When Ethan held his son for the first time, the child quietly wrapped a tiny hand around his finger. The room became silent. The ancient AI softly announced, Guardian Air confirmed. Then, for the first time in history, the AI shut itself down. Its final mission was complete. Years later, People across the galaxy told one simple story. They remembered the day an alien princess had been given to a human as a cruel joke. They remembered how everyone had laughed, but no one laughed anymore because that single joke had become the beginning of a new galaxy, a galaxy built on trust instead of fear. On the highest hill of New Earth stood a simple stone monument. It carried only one sentence: the strongest people are not those who win wars, but those who choose to end them. And beneath a peaceful sky, Ethan, Lyra, and their son looked toward the stars, not as rulers of the galaxy, but as the family that helped unite it. The end.